You ever sit there and ask, why me? Why am I broke? Why am I struggling? Why is life so unfair? I used to ask the same thing. Every setback, every failure, every time life smacked me in the face, I sat there feeling sorry for myself. But let me tell you something, nobody's coming to save you. You think life cares about your excuses? You think success is just gonna show up because you want it? Nah, life is war, and if you don't fight, you lose. That is why I stopped asking why me and started saying now me. Because nobody's gonna build my dream but me. Because nobody is gonna put in the work for me. Because sitting around complaining won't change my situation. I got tired of waiting. I got tired of watching other people win while I made excuses. I got tired of my own weakness. So I made a decision. No more feeling sorry for myself. No more blaming. No more waiting. You wanna be stronger? Get up and train. You wanna be smarter? Open a book. You wanna be successful? Outwork every single person around you. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, you're gonna fail. And yeah, it's unfair. So what? Winners don't care about fair. Winners don't care about feelings. They care about results. And you wanna know why you should switch to now me? Because every second you stay in why me mode, somebody else is grinding. Somebody else is leveling up. Somebody else is taking the life you could have had. And you can either stay the same or you can say now me. Now I work. Now I sacrifice. Now I become the version of me that nobody thought was possible. No more talking. No more excuses. No more crying. Now me. Heavenly Father, in my darkest moments, I have cried out, why me? Feeling lost, broken and burdened by trials I did not understand. But today, I come before you with a renewed spirit, ready to step into the power you've placed within me. No longer will I dwell in doubt or self-pity. Instead, I declare, now me. Now is the time for my breakthrough, my growth, and my purpose to shine. Lord, transform my heart and mind. Replace my fear with faith, my sorrow with joy, and my hesitation with boldness. Teach me to see challenges as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Give me the wisdom to learn from my past and the strength to embrace my future with confidence. I release the weight of my struggles into your hands, knowing that you are shaping me through every trial. What once felt like a burden, now I see as preparation. What once seemed like rejection, I now understand as redirection. I trust your divine timing, your plan, and the purpose you have for my life. I stand here not as a victim, but as a victor. Not as someone seeking pity, but as someone claiming my destiny. Now me. Now is the time to walk in courage, to love without fear, to serve with passion, and to rise with unwavering faith. Thank you, Lord, for never leaving me. Thank you for renewing my strength, restoring my hope, and revealing the power you placed within me. I am ready, I am willing, and I am transformed. In your mighty name, I pray. Amen.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burden me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with, now they looking nervously. And I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say.
I understand how it feels like to be helpless, incapable, and inferior in the face of adversity. But today is the beginning of a new era in your life. The era where you will take full responsibility of your life and demand favorable outcomes from life through your discipline, dedication, and resilience. Therefore, to get yourself ready for this particular endeavor, say the following affirmations quietly. I trust that every challenge is shaping me into a stronger person. I release doubt and embrace faith in my journey. I am not a victim of my past. I am the creator of my future. Every setback is a setup for my comeback. I walk in confidence, knowing that God's plan for me is greater than my fears. Fear no longer controls me. I move forward with boldness. I replace every why me with watch me rise. I refuse to let past pain dictate my future joy. I am worthy of love, success, and happiness. My struggles are not punishments, but preparations for something greater. I am growing, evolving, and stepping into my true purpose. My potential is limitless, and I refuse to settle for less. I am capable of transforming my life through faith and action. Every day, I choose progress over perfection. I am a vessel of light, strength, and perseverance. I am stronger than any challenge I face. I release the need for approval and embrace my authentic self. My journey is unique, and I honor my path with gratitude. I turn obstacles into opportunities for growth. I have everything I need within me to succeed. Now is my time to rise, to act, and to transform. I claim victory over my doubts, fears, and insecurities. I walk in my purpose with unwavering confidence. I am no longer waiting for a sign. I am the sign. The past is behind me. The future is bright, and the time is now. You can now open your eyes, but remember to say these affirmations daily to fully embrace your new state of mind. The Stoic Handbook, page 33. Is that right? The one power that we have seems right. But don't we have any power over anything else? I mean, what about the potter and his clay as a simile for the Stoic working with his indifference, the externals? Don't I have some power over my health? For example, if I eat right, exercise, avoid destructive habits, etc. Statistically, my chances of living a long life increases if I take care of my health, right? True, but you could be struck by lightning, get run over by a truck, or die of lung cancer at the age of 30 without ever smoking, as my wife's friend did a couple of years ago. One of the first surprises you discover when you are in a medical profession or close to someone in that profession is that people at the peak of health can acquire disabling physical conditions and can die at all ages of diseases that they should never have gotten, or so we commonly believe. The truth is that we are able to take care of ourselves, and prudence says that we should. But in the end, a life of good health and the proximity of death are not in our power. The same can be said of all other externals. People who have amassed a fortune want us to believe it was done by their own power, by their superior intelligence and exceptionally hard work. That is just a form of denial and lack of self-awareness. Fate and destiny worked much harder in the accumulation of wealth or power as any individual, and it can end that position overnight. To begin with, some people are born with certain conditions and abilities that others do not possess. Some have boundless energy and ambition, while others are chronically ill and or painfully lacking in self-confidence. They didn't create these conditions any more than a genius is responsible being born with a superior intellect. Then there's the environmental factor. One child is born into crushing poverty and another is to a manor born. Even of those born into poverty, one will struggle night and day to rise above his station, and another will fall prey to the first drug dealer that knocks on his door. Why? Who knows? Those who believe in reincarnation believe they have the answer. Geneticists believe they can explain everything with DNA. Astrologers have another theory, and so on. Regardless, the choice of good and evil is in the power of our will and ours alone. Everything else is in the will of nature. Whatever there is, we are responsible for one thing. Fate is responsible for everything else. 3 studies. There are 3 fields of study in which he who will be wise and good must be exercised. That of 1. Desires and aversions, 2. Pursuits and avoidances, and in general, the duties of life, and 3. Whatever belongs to the judgment. Epictetus. You may have noticed that the order in which these class notes were written down by Arian places desires first and judgments last. Assuming Arian wrote them down in the given order, Epictetus apparently believed that the thing he needed to emphasize to his students was, first and foremost, the desires. Then it naturally followed that the actions would proceed from the desires. However, I have taken the liberty of beginning with the judgments that form in the mind because that's chronologically more accurate. I am more comfortable starting at the beginning of an event rather than in the middle. And we have seen time and again that what we think about a thing is where it all begins. An impression comes to the mind from outside stimuli, external or internal discourse, and a judgment is made. From this judgment, one feels desire or aversion to the impression, and the motivation for action has begun. We either desire something to be, or we desire it not to be. And from desire, action surely follows. What Epictetus refers to as pursuits and avoidances, we can more easily remember as actions. We act in the pursuit of things we desire, such as cake and ice cream, and we act in the avoidance of those things we do not desire, such as vomitus. The first study, judgments and the inner discourse. Take away the complaint, I have been harmed, and the harm is taken away. Meditations, Book 4, page 7. The habits of your thoughts will become the character of your mind, for the soul is dyed by the thoughts. Dye it then with thoughts such as these. Wherever one lives, one can live well, even if he must live in a palace. Marcus Aurelius. Clearly, the inner discourse, what we tell ourselves about our world, is one of the most important themes in all Stoic literature. The French scholar Pierre Hadot believes it is the very essence of being a Stoic. He says everything in an individual's life depends on how he presents things to himself. In other words, how he tells them to himself in inner dialogue. As you can see, much of the actual work of becoming a Stoic begins with judgments and the inner discourse. Our first study is the inner discourse and how it forms our judgments. As Marcus says above, when you take away the complaint, you take away the harm. Shakespeare said the same thing, more concisely and poetically in Hamlet. There is nothing ever good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It is the judgments we form in the mind that either inflame or cool the passions, the emotions, and have run amok. Of course, we do feel fear in situations that present real danger because of the primary impulse of survival. And that is okay. It is more than okay. It is ordained by nature. Stoics are not retarded. We know there is a place for adrenaline. We are supposed to be energized by the sight of an approaching bully. In this case, to be prepared to fight or flee. If we hadn't evolved with this adrenaline rush reaction, we wouldn't have evolved as a species. In addition to facing danger, there are many other kinds of judgments we form with the thoughts of our inner discourse. In fact, virtually everything. Where else can the feelings of desire and aversion come from? We desire one thing, we don't desire another. And this information we tell ourselves is in the inner dialogue. However, it is what we do with this information that matters. The mind acquires an impression, makes a judgment, then desires something to be or not to be. The second study, desires and the rising passions. Of these 3 studies, the principal and most urgent is that which reaches the passions. For passion is only produced by a disappointment of one's desires and an incurring of one's aversions. It is this which introduces perturbations, tumults, misfortunes, and calamities. This is the spring of sorrow, lamentations, and envy. This renders us envious and emulous and incapable of hearing reason. Epictetus. The Stoics' desire and aversions are studied so that we can bring them into alignment with the will of nature. This is an expansion of our motto, living in agreement with nature. In the first place, we use our chief attribute designed for us by nature, our reason. When we use reason, we see that there is only one good, virtue. Evil, then, is the lack of virtue. Both good and evil are in their will, and only the will is in our power. Thus, living according to nature means desiring the good, virtue, and desiring to avoid evil, the lack of virtue. This is the one power that nature has given us. The choices of the will, the right use of reason, and the judgments of the will are the desires of a Stoic. The third study, actions and the noble duties. The next topic regards the duties of life. For I am not to be undisturbed by passions, as a statue is, but as one who preserves the natural and acquired relations, as a pious person, a son, a brother, a father, a citizen. Our desires and aversions depend upon judgments we have made and become motivated for ensuing action. If we want a new car, we have to find the money to pay for it. Epictetus doesn't dwell on the mere mundane of our actions, but on how they become our duties, the duties of life. The evolution from the primary impulse of self-love to other love, ecosis, is the work of a Stoic philosopher. They are his duties. Mature adult, socialized behavior is exemplified by the noble character, the lofty spirit, the Stoic philosopher, the sage. This process is one of the great principles of ethics. If our desires and aversions are aligned with nature, we are burdened with only one responsibility, the good and evil in the will. The proper exercise for that responsibility shows in our actions as a pious person, a good son, a good brother, a good father, a good citizen. A Stoic is the cornerstone of civilized society in that we preserve the natural and acquired relations. All of our actions are oriented to that preservation. To a Stoic, these are the noble duties of life. They are noble duties because they clearly show the true nature of our character. Hear the sage. Hear the sage inside us. Practice, 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 practice. Philosophers advise us not to be content with mere learning, but to add meditation likewise, and then practice. If, therefore, we do not likewise put into practice right opinions, we shall be nothing more than expositors of the abstract doctrines of others. Epictetus. 4 practical exercises. Stoics have always emphasized that the principles of our philosophy are not just abstract concepts to be discussed and argued forever, but are to be applied to actual living situations. Many of the practical exercises used by the original teachers of Stoicism have been lost, but a few have survived and can be understood from the writings of the Roman Stoics. There are 4 exercises that every Stoic can and should practice. Visualization. Both Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus recommend negative visualization, which becomes a positive realization once the exercise has been performed. We should remember every day that the people, places, and things we love can be taken from us. Nothing is fixed, nothing is certain. All things are born, live for a while, and pass away. The wife, husband, or child that you love can be taken from you in a moment. Your house can burn to the ground. You could have a stroke and never be able to run and play again. To prepare yourself for all such eventualities, visualize actually losing the things you love most in your life right now. Actually, see in your mind's eye the death of your spouse, your child, your house burning with all your treasures inside, your body racked with pain, confined to a wheelchair or bed. Such an exercise prepares you mentally and emotionally for the changes in fortune that are a part of everyone's life. To be prepared in this way softens the blow of losing what we most love. But even more incredibly, it helps us to remember to be thankful for the blessings we have been given while they are still with us. Visualizing the death of a loved one should remind you to be thankful every day that this person is still enriching your life. Be happy, count your blessings, and don't forget to tell the loved one how much happiness they bring you. 3. Controls. All the classical Stoics agreed everyone has 3 degrees of control over their lives: complete control, some control, no control. The so-called serenity prayer has many mothers and fathers, and one of them could have been a Stoic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Or you may prefer a Mother Goose rhyme written in 1695. For every ailment under the sun there is a remedy, or there is none. If there be one, try to find it. If there be none, never mind it. This is the essence of control exercise. In every decision you make every day, the first question to ask yourself is, how much control do I have over this situation? Every time you are confronted with a problem, a crisis, a physical or psychological assault, the degree of control should influence your approach to its resolution. Epictetus was probably the most extreme in teaching his students that we have no control over anything except the will. The right use of will, he would say, is completely under our control. No one, not even a God, can take that away from you. The choice to build a noble character is yours and yours alone. All else is left to fate. We know that there are some things over which we do exercise some control. If you are looking for a wife or husband, how you go about finding one will have some control over the outcome. If you stay at home night after night and wait for the right person to knock on your door, your chances of finding that person are considerably less than if you actively go out and make yourself available in social settings reflecting your personality. We also know that we are all mortal and there's little we can do about death as the final outcome. Nothing actually, no control, but we can have some control over our health and longevity by taking good care of our bodies while we still live. The most important aspect of this exercise is the tranquility that comes from realizing that many of the things we fuss and fret about are largely out of our control. Someone cut us off in traffic. Is there anything we can do about it? Of course, we can speed up and shoot the jack, but that is not going to prevent another rude person from cutting us off in traffic in the future. As Marcus Aurelius says, people will have bad breath because that is the sort of odor that emanates from such places. Why get annoyed? Leave it alone. 3 defenses. There are 3 kinds of defensive exercises against the personal assault of others on your character. 1. Self-deprecation. Epictetus said that if someone accuses you of having some flaw in your character, you should tell him it's a good thing he doesn't know you well enough to point out even the worst flaws you have. You quickly deflect criticism with self-deprecating remarks, even without being witty. By enthusiastically admitting the error of your ways, you take the sting out of the accusations against you. 2. The Queen Mab defense. In the movie Marlene, the magician eliminates the power of the wicked witch, Queen Mab, by organizing all the people to simply turn their backs on her fury. That's the silent defense that you can always use if you aren't quick enough to think of a good self-deprecating remark. By ignoring someone, you are in effect saying that their opinion is of no interest to you, and in fact, their existence is not important enough to even recognize. This can be very effective for all bad children, both big and small. 3. Correcting the child. The rudeness or misbehavior of a child must be corrected for instructional purposes. We should all take part in helping to educate a child for life in a civilized society. Sometimes the child is a grown-up. See the ethical paradox. Not everyone you encounter will be wise. Many, if not most, will be struck at a primary stage of ethical evolution. To this, Epictetus would advise we instruct them as we would a child. No one says a Stoic must suffer fools gladly. There are situations when dealing with such people includes pointing out the error of their ways. Nothing personal, nothing emotional. If you don't remind them of the value of decorous behavior, who will? Seneca meditation. Seneca claimed to practice a certain kind of meditation every night before he retired to bed. This is not the kind of meditation most of us are familiar with, where you clear your mind of all thoughts. Just the opposite. He called it meditation, but it's more like a daily review. It goes like this. Find a quiet place where you can close your eyes and see the events that took place during the day. Recall in detail everything that happened from the time you got up this morning right up to the present moment. At each scene, each turn of events, remember how well you performed as a Stoic. Remember everyone you met, everything you said and did, or failed to do. When and where you conducted yourself in a manner that was worthy and noble, and you can be confirmed in your practice. Consider carefully every situation where you fell short. Another form of this exercise is to keep a journal. Your journal can be made of paper, or it can be a file on your computer. Replay the events of your day in a journal. Write down the most important things you can remember and your reaction to each event you consider important enough to evaluate. Then evaluate, was your reaction Stoic? If not, why not? Think about it. How could you have improved your performance? With practice, your journal will show the same improvement the rest of us will see. The ethical paradox. Affinity, a natural liking for or attraction to a person, place, or thing. Paradoxically, self-love is the foundation and starting point of Stoic ethics. The self-love of an infant, love of family as a child, love of country as a patriot, even love of beauty and the pursuit of truth are all appropriate activities for which humans feel a natural liking for or attraction to. The affinity principle, or okaiosis as it was called in antiquity, was an idea first discovered by early Stoics. We believe it is the primary impulse of all living creatures, including human beings. One could even extend this idea to all living things, not just creatures. Everything that lives strives with all its power to survive, from blue-green algae to Nobel Prize-winning scientists. In antiquity, such striving was first recognized in higher animals. The philosopher Diogenes Laertius said, "An animal's first impulse, say the Stoics, is to self-preservation." Before him, it was Chrysippus, the third head of the Stoic school, who first said the dearest thing to every animal is its own constitution and its consciousness thereof. This is the benevolence of nature, the beginning of ethics for the Stoic and the end of the discussion for the Epicurean and hedonist. Unlike those who believe that pleasure is our ultimate goal, We believe that our reasoning faculty expands this natural and primary impulse of self-love into stages of ethical evolution that achieve a higher good both for the individual and for society as a whole. Cicero, a careful student of Stoicism and a great resource for ancient Stoic thought, detailed 5 stages in this evolution, but I will only outline 3. 1. Care for the self and its need, the primary impulse. 2. Learned ability to make rational distinctions between those things which are in agreement with nature and those which are not. 3. Choosing and living by those things that are in agreement with nature. As the rational mind develops, our self-love or affinity for that which is dearest to us can expand from the self to include first the mother, then the family, a romantic partner, the community, our children, and so on. Each stage retains the stage before it as one evolves ethically. However, despite the developing rational faculty, ethical evolution is not automatic. Many people do not gain in wisdom as they get older. They only gain in weight. Without effort, then we get stuck in stage 1 or 2. Otherwise, all people will become wise and virtuous. Obviously, they do not. It takes an act of choice and will to evolve from the primary impulse of infantile ego, stage 1, to selecting and living by those things that are in agreement with nature, stage 3. When the individual has acquired the mature capacity for reason and chooses to live conformably with nature, he or she has evolved to an entirely new realization. When the final state is achieved, the individual realizes life on a higher plane than all previous stages, and virtue is good for its own sake. Self-love has evolved through love of family, spouse, children, country, and finally a love for all humanity. This is where the primary impulse that nature has given us ultimately leads from self-love to love of humanity, from egoist to altruist. This is the ethical paradox of our philosophy and the promise of evolution to a noble character in one lifetime. Everyone can be a philosopher, a lover of wisdom. Everyone. Stop procrastinating about when you are going to be one. Just be one. It is your birthright, and nature has shown the way.